Today we're going to have two different speakers who are going to be talking about young people who are homeless. So I think this is a nice way to wrap it up. Today we have Melissa Golpe, and she is with Covenant House. She's going to show a video first, and then she's going to talk to you about some of the services that they provide. And then we're also going to have Cynthia Reynolds from the Detroit Public Schools. So today is all about youth.
Hi, I'm Melissa. I'm from Covenant House. Thanks for being a part of this and for listening to me today. I brought the video because I want you guys to see what Covenant House looks like. I want you to see what our residents look like, and that's why I also handed you guys out these newsletters. And so I guess we'll start with that so you can kind of get a little feel for the kids we work with. In my job, I get to actually work with a lot of our residents, so it's a really cool job for me to get to know them. And they're not that far away from your ages. So a lot of them came from DPS, a lot of them came from the Metro Detroit area, and there might even be people that you end up seeing on our video or in our newsletters that you knew at some point. So the video, or the newsletter I gave you, right here, if you can look at the front page, you'll see this one guy right here, and his name's Antoine. He has been at Covenant House, oh gosh, maybe almost a year now, and he was recently, we just did a news story on him, and that's why he's pictured here, because we had a big candlelight vigil here on our campus in November. And Antoine used to stay in abandoned houses, and he used to guard drugs so that he'd have a place to stay. He was homeless pretty much most of his life, in and out of his family's house, didn't really have stable housing, stable parents, and a lot of the abuse was happening. So Antoine's now at Covenant House, and he's going to college. And so I think he's a really excellent example of somebody that's come through our program and done really well, and now he's bettering his life. And he didn't come from a great start, and so what's good is that he's got the tools now to succeed. If you can look down here at the three kids right here, this is Jonathan, Michelle, and Kiera. Jonathan came to us, he was very suicidal. He hadn't been going through counseling, he hadn't been on medication, and he was just having a really rough time. He actually had his own apartment, and he lost his apartment, and he ended up in the hospital, and they referred him to Covenant House. Now he's on the leadership team on our campus, and he leads all kinds of events. He runs programs, he takes people on tours, and he's just a really amazing guy. He's also in college. Michelle, here in the middle. Michelle had a really horrible life. Her father beat her mother, abused her siblings and herself, and she ended up becoming a drug addict. She ended up going out in the streets, prostituting, trying whatever she could to survive, and she ended up at our doors. Now she's also in college, she's working, she's going through counseling, and she's doing really well. Kiera, who you'll see on the other side here, Kiera, I met her because we were planning this event, and I was looking for singers, and everyone said, talk to Kiera, she's a great singer. So I started working with her, and she's sang at our Candlelight Vigil. And she sang Beyonce's Ave Maria, so you guys are probably familiar with that, and blew me away. I couldn't believe the voice on her. She was taken away from her family because the house was in such bad condition. There was so much fighting happening in her house, and it was just like she said, it was just filthy, and you just did not even want to sleep there. So they took her away, the police came and took her away from the house, and they brought her to Covenant House. And now she's also working toward her getting her GED. Her mom used to keep her out of school. She would keep her out of school, and she had about 2 credits when she came to Covenant House. And so now she's working to try to get her GED so that she can move on and go on to college. If you can open up inside of this little newsletter. And the reason I'm showing this is so you guys can actually see the people that we work with. A lot of times people feel that homeless young people look a certain way, they are lazy, they're all drug addicts, they don't care about life, and that's really not the case. We have really great kids that live on our campus, and they're doing really well, and they really want something better for themselves. And it's really unfortunate, but they weren't given a fair chance. And you may know people like this in your lives. A lot of our kids have come out of the school system, and they were actually called from different counselors in the schools and said, somebody, so-and-so doesn't have a place to stay, so-and-so is in an abusive home, somebody's jumping around from someone's basement to someone else's couch to whatever, and they really need a place to stay, and then they end up coming to Covenant House, where they have that place to stay, and they also can go to school and work on getting job development skills, work on going to counseling, and sometimes even reuniting with their parents. So if you look down further here, Danielle is over here. She's in college. Patricia, she has a lot of mental health issues, but she's a really awesome girl. She's doing really well. Now she's going to be getting her own apartment. And you saw Antoine and Michelle earlier. Let's see here. Up here on the top, there's a lady here you'll see, and there's a guy that's kind of like leaning over her. I just want to tell you a little bit about him. His name's Kevin. And Kevin actually came to us, about 6 months ago now, but he's from the Virgin Islands, and he grew up, and his family was homeless constantly, on and off. They stayed in abandoned buildings in the slums of St. Croix. And he came over here to Detroit because his mom had found him and told him that she was here and she would have him come back with her. So he ended up moving up here. And what happened was he was taken away and he was put into foster care because the household was just in such a bad place and there was a lot of abuse happening. So he left and went into the system and he bounced around in different places and ended up trying to go back to his mom's because it was his mom. And then the guy she was living with ended up abusing his siblings. So he ended up getting in a fight with the guy, kicked out of the house, and had nowhere to go. Excuse me. So he came to Covenant House, and he's been there, and he's been doing really well. And he was hired to work with our street outreach team. So now he goes out into the different neighborhoods, looking in abandoned houses, talking to people that maybe should be in school but aren't in school. Maybe they're in the malls, or they're in movie theaters, or they're in the hospitals, and they're just hanging out, and they don't have anywhere to go. So he talks to them, and he tells them his story, and he tells them about Covenant House, and he answers calls. He does all the type of things that our outreach team does, and it's actually a junior staff position. So he's getting skills so that when he leaves, he'll have that work experience. And the examples I'm giving you are just so that you guys understand that these guys are really doing well. They just need people that would care about them. They just needed a helping hand. I'm going to just talk to you a little bit about the programs. And you guys will be able to go on our website and you can actually watch the videos and see the different pieces. But Covenant House has been in Michigan since 1997. We're faith-based. The belief is that everyone's God's children and we're going to provide love and respect and help them to move forward in life. What we do is we provide residential programs. So we have 2 shelters. And I welcome you guys at any point, if you ever want to come and do a tour on our campus, you can actually come there and see the place. We have 45 beds in our crisis center, and males and females live there, 18 to 22-year-olds. While they're there, they're going to school, they're working on getting a job, they're getting counseling, and they're setting up a plan with the counselor to make sure that they're working toward what they want to accomplish while they're there. We also have a Rites of Passage program, which is our 2-year program. So once they're in the crisis center and they want to continue living at Covenant House and they need more time, they can move into the other program.